Okay, let's go ahead and get ourselves started. We want to take a look at how we can create some plan levels and really how you associate plan levels or with different levels within your model, how you can go ahead and kind of add them after the fact and maybe even create some subregions within that plan view to kind of feature a different view range, a different height within that level. So let's go ahead and jump on into this model. In this model, you'll see that we already have a first floor plan view, we have a roof plan view and a site plan view. And if we switch over to an elevation, we can actually see what levels are in the model and how they're associated. So you see here that we actually have in this model a roof level, a second floor level, and the first floor level. You might notice we don't really have a plan view for the second floor level. So if we'd like to go through and add one, it's actually a pretty easy thing to do. What you'll do is under the View tab, you can find the Plan View tool, and if you pull down, you'll see it's actually a menu. But if you choose to create a floor plan, you'll get this dialog, which basically asks you about creating some new plan views. We can go through and say that we want to create a floor plan view. We can choose over here the levels. You'll see that it only has second floor listed right now because the other plan views have already been created. But if you'd like to create another plan view for a different level, you can just turn off this Do Not Duplicate and get the entire list back. But we're just going to go ahead and create it for second floor. We'll say OK. That plan view is created. It's now showing over here in the project browser. So we're ready to go. So creating new plan views is actually pretty easy. Another way you might do it though, if you'd like to, for example, have different versions of the plan view to feature different things, a very easy way if you already have a plan view created is just to go through and choose that view in the project browser, then right click and you can say duplicate the view. Now, when you duplicate a view, you got a couple different choices. If you duplicate a view without detailing, the first choice, what's going to happen is you'll get only the building elements. The actual building model elements will be duplicated into that new view. If you say duplicate with detailing, you'll actually get the annotations too. So let's see if we can kind of come up with an example to show that. So let's go to first floor. Oh. Maybe we'll come down here into the living room area and let me add an annotation to this first floor view. So I'll go through and I'll put a dimension across here. Maybe a dimension across here. Okay, so you can see those two different dimensions in there. If I duplicate this view without detailing, just the first choice, you'll see I'll get a new view that doesn't have the dimension. And I'll rename that. Okay, let me do that again. This time I'm going to go first floor and duplicate it, but with detailing. You see this time the annotations actually come across. So we're going to talk some more about annotations in just a bit. But just so you know, that's the distinction there. It's really whether it's only the building objects or whether the annotations come too. Super. Okay, so we've created some different views. We can duplicate views. That's a really easy way to go through and create the new floor plan views. Let's go ahead and talk about how you can also go through and create views for new levels. So for example, if I'm over here in the elevation and I decide that I want to add a new elevation, for example, I'm going to put a penthouse on top of this building, something like that. What I'll do is I'll go to the level tool. And as I'm going through and creating the level, notice this checkbox over here in the options bar. It's called Make Plan View. If that's turned on, it's going to create the plan views for you automatically. If it's turned off, it won't create the plan views at that time. And you can go ahead and create them later. So just go ahead and choose what you want. Let me do one where I do have that turned on. So you'll see that the level 8 is showing up. I'll do another one where I turn that off. Oh, it's complaining at me. Let's see what's going on here. Level. Let's try that now. Here comes level 10. Okay, you notice that one doesn't show up yet. So in order to create the plan view for that, what I could do is, again, go back to the view, say plan views, and then level 10 shows up there. Notice there was level 9 also. That was the one that I created that didn't get created. Well, it's not shown right now. It's hidden right now. So it's hanging, but I'm just going to ignore that one for now. Say okay and get the 10 in there. There's my 10 views. Not much up there, so it's not very interesting. But what you'll probably want to do is change these levels so that they actually sort of reflect what you want to put on them. Okay. Notice as I change it, if I change the level name, it's going to ask us, but I like to also go through and change the view names. And that's often a good thing to do. Not always, but I usually do that because you want to keep those things in coordination generally. I tend to like the level names to dominate, and then only if I've kind of not changed the name over here in the project browser will I say don't go through and update it. Or only, take that back, only if I've changed the name over there will I say not go through and update it because I want to keep the special name. Sorry about that, got that backwards. Okay, so you can sort of see now we have penthouse here, penthouse here. We got these things in coordination. Now, plan views work out just fine for plan views that look down. With the floor plan views, we can also use this technique to go through and create the ceiling plan views. So ceiling plan views are just views that look up as opposed to down. Typically, we're looking at the level 4 feet down, so cutting at 4 feet, looking down into a space. So for example, here we are looking down at the floor from 4 feet up. You can see we sort of cut through like all the different doors and we're sort of on top of some of the furniture. If I'd like to make a reflected ceiling plan view, let's see what we have in there. We only have the penthouse right now. So to make a ceiling plan view, what I can do is create a reflected ceiling plan view. Again, using the same tool, it's just under the menu in a different place. I can choose the different levels for which I'd like to look up and see the ceiling. And you might want to have a ceiling plan, so you can see the lighting on the ceiling, some interesting soffitting or some fixtures up there. Let's go ahead and create those ceiling plan views. Okay, so this is now the ceiling of the first floor. And you'll see in the residence, it's largely open. Here we're looking at some ceiling with some lighting fixtures on it. That's just an elevation marker right there. You see the hole in the ceiling. Up here on the second floor, you can see that we actually had the beams running across the ceiling. Okay, so that's how you go through and create a ceiling plan view. Now the final thing we want to show you is just this whole issue of how you can deal with a view range. Let's talk about that. The idea is for every view, as we're looking down, let me look down from the second floor. I'm going to highlight this little loft area right here. What happens is every view is defined as having a cut plane and then looking either up or down, and that's defined in the view range. So in the view range, you can see by default, it's set to 4 feet as the level that it's going to do the cutting. And that generally is a pretty good level. It takes care of most of what you want to see in a typical view. But if you know you have a specific feature in a specific area and you want to highlight that, for example, let me go ahead and put a little window in here, in my wall up here. So I can load in a nice window here. Should use the window tool, shouldn't I? Okay, there we are. It's interesting about why that's opening into the doors. I'm not sure. Okay, let's come over here. Oh, I'm just gonna do, let us see. Let's just do a little fixed window, something like that. I'm gonna make, what I'd call a little clear story window, or put a window relatively up high. I'm gonna put a couple windows up relatively tall. These are only 24 inches tall. Let me go through and say that the head height's gonna be like at 7 feet. Okay, so these are windows that will be relatively high up. Now you might notice that right now in the floor plan view, I can't see them. They're actually there. You can sort of see if I hover over them, but I can't see them in the floor plan view. And that's just because they're above that 4-foot plane. So above the cutting plane. So if I want to feature those and see them in the floor plan view, what I can do is create a special just region on that floor plan view. That'll make it just easier to highlight those windows. Here's the plan region tool. And what you do is just zip on down, highlight the area where you have that special feature that's at a different height you'd like to see. Okay, that's the region. Then for the range here, I'll raise the cutting plane. I want to put it somewhere where it'll actually cut through the elements I'm trying to see. So let's say it's 6 feet. Great. And now you can see in that little region, I can see those windows, I can manipulate them. That'll show up in the plan view. Now don't worry about this green box that's highlighting the plan region. That won't show up when you print it out and won't show up when you kind of look at 3D views and things like that. That's just really just to give you an indication of where that special region is so you know about it and don't forget about it when you're looking at the plan view. Okay, that's the upshot on how you create plan views and adjust plan regions. So go ahead and practice with it a little bit, and we'll continue thinking about how we create other types of views.